Good afternoon everyone, hope the video finds you well. I've had some crazy market movement over the last 24 hours. Another 2,000 points coming into the index market cap today. Some people have taken a bit of a dip. If we just have a quick peek at the market, guys like Neymar, Pogba, it's also a lot of people selling on the back of their phase one agenda being fulfilled, and then a lot of the growth is most people, as I anticipated, would probably be looking to utilise phase two a bit heavier than phase one, just because there was no opportunity to set yourself up for phase one and prepare as well as there has been for phase two. So that was to be expected and something we kind of discussed already on the channel. So it's just good to see that the market's moving the way we've anticipated, and that's something you need to recognise in yourself when you're trying to predict anything. Whether it be a player's movement, whether it be market, whether it be what stimulates the market, that type of thing. You need to, when you forecast these things to yourself and you see them happen, it's good to give yourself a wee mental pat on the back. It just shows that you're reading the marketplace well, and if you can read the marketplace well, then it helps you with the stuff we were chatting about yesterday, when to buy, and then we're going to chat about today, when to sell. Okay, so how to build your portfolio, episode I'm going to say 4, how and when to sell. Okay, now the first thing, guys, you need to understand when you're looking to sell, or let's go 2 steps back, right? We spoke about yesterday buying, right? Now the one thing we missed out of the buying kind of armory that you need to have is having an exit strategy when you're buying them. Okay, so let's say for example we pick up today Paul Pogba at 772. Okay, depending on the percentage of my portfolio I'm going to be committing against them and how long I want to hold them for, whatever the strategy you've laid out to purchase them against is then going to mirror your exit strategy. Okay, so if for yesterday, for example, we're talking about buying people when they're out the spotlight or before the market clicks on to some positive factors that you've maybe got a wee bit of an insight towards, or something you've read, or that type of thing. That is then going to mirror your exit strategy. Okay, so if we're thinking about the examples we had yesterday, and let's just use them rather than Pogba. Okay, so we had Skov was a good example, didn't we? Okay, so let's say we're buying Skov, right? And we're buying him 3 months ago when he's about 60 pence. You've seen he's been scoring goals for Copenhagen, he's been getting a good write-up, people are calling him the next Robert Pires, all this type of stuff. But as you can see, the football index marketplace hasn't really cottoned on or really backed him the way that press and potential links to Spurs and whoever else has really came to the fore. Then when you're buying him, your exit strategy's got to be, well, when people do see what I see in the jump on board, he's going to have a surge, he's going to have a rise, and that's my exit strategy, is to ride that wave, and then once it peters out and levels out, I'm then going to sell. Okay, now the problem people have with selling, okay, is they make the mistake of, let's say you buy your Skov at 60 pence and then you get up right into here up to 96 pence, and you think, wow, this is a great surge. Has he got another one in him? How much further can he go? And these are then the thought processes and the kind of the devil and angel on your shoulder that you need to fight with. Well, I did say if I got 50% increase, or I did say if I got to £1, I'd sell, or I did say after a surge I would take the profit and move on. You will then start to reevaluate when these things happen, and you'll naturally want to be a bit greedy with it and think, oh brilliant, I've still got him at 60 pence, and you know what, he could make another jump in this, that and the other thing, and then let's say this big spike happens here and jumps up to, get the crosshairs right at the top if we can, up to 118, and it pops right up, then you'll be patting yourself on the back again quite quickly, like, yes, I knew it. Very quickly, as you can see, these things, when they are bubbles, they're rapidly getting growth behind them, especially for somebody who's not eligible for dividends really in any fashion. There's always going to be a backward movement when people don't have the patience that you potentially have, or other investors or gamblers potentially have, and there'll always be that backward movement. And you need to realise this, that the best time to sell is the time that you stated to yourself when you bought them. I will sell when. Okay, so when you're laying out your exit strategy, it's going to be centered around really, and to a greater or lesser extent, 3 basic things, right? You're either going to be looking for a percentage growth on your money, okay? So if I get 20%, I'm happy. If I get 50%, I'm laughing, whatever it might be. It might be a deadline in the calendar, maybe something based around match day performances and IPDs and all this type of stuff as well. And So it's a date in the calendar, okay? And then the third thing would be potentially something that we've just spoke about. I'll hang on to him forevermore until we get a big surge and a big pop when the market gets on board with him and I'm in nice and early. And then once that big surge happens, then I'm happy to cash out and move my money elsewhere. Or potentially wait for the same player to dip and then buy more of him at a cheaper price than what you sold him for. If that makes any kind of sense. So I'll give you an example, right? Let's say this is over a month, isn't it? So let's say you bought your SCOV at 60 pence and you then said to yourself, right, once it gets to a pound, I'm happy to sell. So you get to the pound and then you sell, and then very quickly you're thinking to yourself, oh Jesus, he's been up to 118. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Oh crap, I've sold too early, whatever. But then these people will fluctuate. The Robert Scovs of the marketplace, the Mason Greenwoods, these guys are not really active on anything concrete. They're not in the press, they're not scoring goals, whatever. So you then wait for a backward movement to get back down to like 99 pence, a pound, whatever. You've then had your money sitting there and you get back on them again at a safer position than what you sold. So the dip we had here, so let's even say you sold at 106, okay, you sold at the peak of that day, you sold at 106, and then you kept going all the way up to 118. You're then kicking yourself like, oh, what have I done? I made such a stupid mistake, whatever. But as I say, naturally these things will either peter out like we spoke about yesterday, or there'll be a bit of a backwards dip. So you sold at 106 on the way up, you see the spike is going and everything's rising, you then take your cash out. Once it drops back down again at like 102, you've sold at 106, so if you go and buy more of them at 102, you're then in a better position. You can either just use the same money and keep the profit, and then you've got less risk in the game from then to return up to that 115, 114 level. You then bought back at a cheaper price, you went back to where you previously regretted not selling them at. So opportunities can be cyclical, can be circular in this kind of instance, okay? So it's understanding when you're detailing your exit strategy, they will be the three fundamentals that will encompass your strategy. It'll either be a date in the calendar around an event or something happening, it'll be a percentage growth that you're targeting, or you'll be waiting for that football index surge of people just jumping on them for whatever reason it might be, okay? Now, once you buy somebody, okay, the first thing you need to do is you need to evaluate and reevaluate, what am I going to do when some sort of material change happens, okay? Now, the best example for this would be the choo-choo train himself, Callum Hudson-Odoi, or Cho. That's why I call him choo-choo train, it's C-H-O, Cho-Cho, What am I going to do when there's some sort of material change happens and it's going to negatively affect the holding? What am I going to do? How am I going to work with this? Okay, so with Callum Hudson-Odoi is a good example, right? Because he had, in my opinion anyway, some fairly credible reasons for the rise he had. He had a big link to Bayern Munich. He's in the Chelsea team. He did really well with the England youth teams previously, and there was a big clamour for him to come in and really spice up that front three with Pedro and Willian. Kind of, they've had good seasons overall. They've not been passengers, but sometimes you need a wee injection of youth, and that's what the fans were really getting at. So with all this type of attention circling him, transfer, media, fans, bit of controversy with the manager not playing him, there was some good reasons to buy him. I can totally accept that, okay, but with this example, what happens when there's some sort of material change, right? So one of those factors there was the Bayern Munich link, okay. So when the Bayern Munich link goes away, or when he signs a new deal with Chelsea and he says, I'm staying here, that's a material change. What are you going to do to compensate against that? Are you happy to hold? Is the first light of something like that, are you going to sell? Obviously the main material change we've had with Callum Hudson-Odoi for this big drop off a cliff here is he got a really bad injury and he's out for the rest of the season, okay? So again, you need to think to yourself, if material change happens, they get injured or suspended, they sign a new contract, they do that transfer, that transfer is complete. They said he's signing, just to use Callum Hudson-Odoi, he's signing for Bayern Munich and it's done. Then the transfer speculation is going away, that's a material change. What are you going to do when these things transpire? Players will be suspended, players will get injured, transfers will either be quashed and not go through or will go through, and these are all the factors you need to think about when this happens, because you can't predict it's going to happen on the 24th of August, he's going to get injured. It's not how the world works. You need to think to yourself, when these things happen, I need to be ready to sell, or potentially, depend on your strategy, buy more if they're going cheaper. So to use Hudson-Odoi as an example, if you follow the kind of strategy that I would advise, and you maybe missed this big spike from £2.40 to £3, But as you can see, for a period there, he's quite safely hovering between 280 and 303, okay, up to 304, right, over a period of really 2 weeks. So by comparison, that's more gradual growth, and you think, right, okay, quite a safe time to buy him, whatever. You pick him up, and then it goes for a nice big shoot, and you hold on to him a little bit too long, and then he dips right back down to the 318. You know, selling at 318, you've bought it, you know, let's say 285, you're still making money. You're going to be disappointed in that, but because you could have made a lot more money. So that material change, if you've not anticipated something like that happening, it's going to really kick you in the gut, and you're going to feel really bad, and you're going to be really disappointed that you didn't sell. What everyone wants to do is buy at the bottom price and sell at the tippy top price, okay? And that's just not realistic for every trade, okay? Which is why I like to buy on a nice, or I'd like to recommend you buy on a nice even keel where you know the market base for that player is quite stable, it's not fluctuating too much by comparison. And then when you get a nice big shoot up, you might just want to cash out then and there. You've done your job, you know, you've put in £3.2, and within a matter of a period of time you're up to 4.43. that is 40 pence into 30, that is close to something like 15% in quite a quick period of time. You know, that might be your target and you're happy to cash out, but then you don't want to have regrets that you didn't wait till that 5.23 came along. You need to understand that, okay? So it's all about, when you're talking about buying and selling like we are, the strategies and what you should really be thinking about, the main thing I'm always trying to think about with myself and when I'm talking to you is controlling your outlook on your strategy, on your belief system in yourself, and how you evaluate what to do and when to do it, okay? Because as soon as you miss an opportunity, you are going to kick yourself, okay? It's human nature, okay? And I want you to avoid doing that as much as possible, because the cardinal sin in Football Index that always happens when you're kicking yourself is you hit that big red sell button right there to do the dirty and quick sell them, okay? If you do that, you are going to hemorrhage profits in other positions or even that position, and I never advise you quick sell on anything, you know. Now don't get me wrong, there's a time and a place for it. Like if he's jumping off a cliff right here, he's at 4.57 and your quick sell is 4.40, then, or 4.30 even, quick selling him, sorry, not 4.30, I'm not even looking at these numbers properly, sorry guys, I'm in a car park now, sorry. But if your quick sell is like, you've got him at 4.57, his quick sells at 4.32. Before he does this and goes all the way to 3.18, quick selling him is a good idea, because you're then limiting your losses, okay? But that is a massive fundamental change, a massive season-ending injury, okay? And that is really what the quick sell is there for, in my opinion. It's for the doomsday scenario. Get out now, quick. You've something, shit has hit the fan. It's not went the way anyone wanted it to. Everyone's dumping, and you want to minimise your liability, you want to minimise your losses, or make sure you have some profit to walk out with, which some profit's always better than none, okay? The next point I come to when it comes to selling, guys, okay, is not being greedy. We spoke about here missing out on 5.14. You maybe sold it, you know, 4.77 or something like that, and you think, oh Jesus, I could have made another £20. I could have made another £5, depending on your stakes, you know, whatever. And it's that greed. If you miss something the first time, let's say this Hudson Odoi, and then let's say maybe you moved your money into someone else. Let's use another example. So let's say you move your money back into, okay, let's say Coutinho. So let's say you then move your money into some, you know, forget it's Coutinho, just look at this graph. You then may be buying somebody here, where Coutinho's at 144 or something like that. You get them up to that 185 mark and you think, right, this happened last time with Hudson Odoi, I'm not getting off the ship early, I'm hanging on, and then within a period of time you're going backwards and you're like, oh, it's Hudson Odoi all over again, you know, I've not sold at the right time, and you start kicking yourself. So it's about not being greedy, guys. Those exit strategies we spoke about at the beginning, whether it be a date in the calendar, a percentage, or catching a surge, you need to have this written down somewhere. And I use little memos on my phone, as you've seen before, and I make wee notes in my calendar. And when you do that, when you're totally sober, and I don't mean that in just the normal sense of it, you know, but you're thinking straight, you're buying somebody and you're like, yeah, this is the plan, I'm going to buy him for this amount of money is going to go into him, and I'm going to sell him when this happens and that doesn't happen and whatever, and you then detail it down. You then need to trust yourself a month later that when you wrote that, that was the plan and that was the best thing for you. And unless the material changes haven't been negative, Or don't get me wrong, if you have material change that's substantially positive, you might want to reevaluate that slightly. But yeah, reevaluate that at the time. You update your notes, you update your calendar, whatever. And again, in the cold light of day, when you're nice and say it's just the best word for it, you're sober, you're clear of thinking, you've got a clear mind, then you stick to that strategy as much as possible. You don't get greedy thinking, should I sell now, should I sell tomorrow? Okay, and that brings me on to my next, and I think it'll be penultimate point. Okay, is that you need to sell people when people are buying them. Okay, that is one of the things with Football Index. I said in the tweet yesterday, the biggest learning curve isn't who to buy, it's how and when to buy, and that's very true, and anyone who's been on the index will tell you that. Okay, but equally when it comes to selling, you don't want to be selling somebody when they're on a down, because nobody's buying them. That's why they're going down. Everyone's selling. Okay, and they'll be doing quick selling, they'll be pumping and dumping, you know, whatever. You want to be buying to maximize profit, minimize the loss on commission and that type of thing. You want to be selling when people are buying, so you get that money nice and quick, and you can move it into wherever you've identified you want to move. It might be your own pocket, you may want to withdraw entirely, you may want to move it into something else, whatever. But the best time to sell is always when people are buying, because when people aren't buying, I promise you this now, you might have, let's say, Neymar, and you want to sell him. He's down 25 pence. Okay, now some people will be buying Neymar, right? Don't get me wrong on that, right? But if people are losing him, you're wanting to sell him. You will then be thinking about where to spend that money next. You will have people you've been tracking for a while, and you think, right, okay, well, this is a good time to move into this person or that person, and then I guarantee you that sell will, selling the Neymar in inverted commas player A, right, will take much longer than you want it to, because nobody's buying them. And then the opportunity you've highlighted, you might see that drift away a little bit, and you'll be very angry at yourself, and you'll be disappointed, like, oh, why didn't I sell him 2 days ago, or why didn't I sell him after he scored in that game, why didn't I sell him after he won media dividends, all that type of thing. And then again, you're going to be kicking yourself and second guessing yourself, and you'll find yourself even closer to that quick sell button, that do the dirty button, that big red one. And that's what you want to avoid as much as possible. So when you're setting out your targets, you need to be mindful of the best time to sell something is when people are buying it. So you might not always maximize the spike that you're going to get your hands on. You know, like I might be looking at this Ericsson, for example, and I might have had him at, let's say, what did we have him at post split? Was it 160 or 170? Let's say it was 170, right? If we have him there, and then we take that big rise, he's like, yes, he's finally kicking on, and we sell at 201, and he ends up at 212. You can't be disappointed in that, because you're selling when people are buying. You've put him on the market, and you click your fingers, you close the app, you reopen it, he's gone, money's in your account, or you're in your balance sheet, and you can do what you want with it. And you cannot think, oh Jesus, he's 212 now, what have I done? Because things are cyclical, guys. What goes up will go down, what goes down, depending, should return up, depending on what we're talking about and who we're talking about. Okay, so don't be greedy, guys. And I say the best time to sell is when people are buying, and you'll always be happy with that. In hindsight, you will always, I promise you. You may not get the peak every time, guys, but by doing it that way, you will peak. You will get more peak sales than you will not, if that makes sense. It's about consistent actions breed consistent results, okay? So as long as you're consistent with that type of thing, guys, you should have good fun. We did a big withdrawal on the account. I'm close to break even now on my withdrawals versus deposits, which is, in my opinion, the best way to judge your profitability on Football Index. It's not that daft email that they sent out a couple of weeks ago, or just looking at your portfolio, all the green lines and stuff like that. So they don't always tell you the full story. So we're very close to doing that, and as soon as we do, I'll be bringing you some content around that as well. We're looking to hopefully do that in the next 3 months or so, but we're not too far away. We've only got about £150 or something to get, and then that's us totally risk free in a sense. Okay, so guys, if you're new around here, sorry I've kind of tapered off a little bit there, but if you're new around here to the channel, you've liked everything you've heard, like, share, subscribe, retweet, all that good stuff, guys. It means a lot to me. Comment below. I love interactions, guys, as you know. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.